All right. So, Johnny, turn down the lights. Here we go. So this last session of the week is it's titled a Tech Update, but it's more about bringing in a few more speakers because we had so much opportunity to bring in content from outside this year that I really wanted to try and fit as much as we could. So there's going to be 3 sessions in here, all of them relatively short, but 3 interesting sessions nonetheless. So I would like to welcome Keith Kristalovich, as well as Sarah Skoronski from PHBI, Professional Home Builders Institute. Keith joined PHBI in 2019 as the Director of Education, Business Development, overseeing partnerships, education, business development. Keith's results-driven and passionate about student and customer success to meet the training needs of Canada's residential construction industry. Keith has an extensive background in higher education and news media, including student recruitment, marketing and sales, partner and client relationship management, product and business development. Sarah joined PHBI in 2021. Sarah brings a passion for instructional design and designing creative and engaging learning solutions that keep adult learning principles top of mind. With over 10 years of facilitation, program design, technical writing, editing, and building instructor-led hybrid and e-learning training, Sarah leads curriculum development and innovative training solutions. And before Keith speaks, I just want to say Sarah was instrumental in building our exam question database increase. Did a great job working with our team, and she was just rock star. So Sarah, thanks. Keith, come on up. Give me that mic. There you go.
Thanks, Terry. All right, thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon. Sarah is going to be in the virtual world in the background there, running our slideshow for us. So you won't actually see her today for at least much of her. Just wanted to say thanks for having us out this year. Joining me this week at the conference is Ileana Gomez, sitting here in my front right. She'll stand up. You've probably seen us running the booth in the back there all week. So feel free to come and visit us after if you want from here, but maybe we'll get things going. Sarah, if you can maybe get to the next slide here. So we're here to talk about a few things during our quick presentation today. We want to tell you guys a little bit about who is PHBI, what do we do, and what are we doing here, the partnership that Terry just talked about, and some information on where we're at with the development of this fenestration installer training program, which we're all very excited about. Go ahead, Sarah. So who is PHBI? We were established back in 1987. It was actually a group of builders back in that time and era that decided that we do need to get better trained at what we do to be better at what we do with building homes. So it was established back then. Since that time, we've grown our footprint across the country. We operate under the PHBI brand in Alberta. We actually operate in BC under a BC Builder Training brand. And in Ontario, we have another brand called Training Ontario. These are our logos. Go ahead, Sarah. We are part of the Alberta New Home Warranty Program group of companies. We're actually one of the companies in this group. It is exactly what it says. We do warranty for the new home builder industry. So we have a lot of invested interest in making sure windows and doors are installed properly during a build cycle because there are warranty claims that are a result of that. I'm going to show you some information about that in a couple slides down. So we are more than just an education institute for industry. We consider ourselves part of industry. We live, breathe, we see everything that's going on, going good, going wrong. And what how PHBI participates in that is we create training and education to fix things, make things better. This is just going to be a quick picture of what our group of companies looks like. Go ahead, Sarah. So you can see we have the Alberta New Warranty Program. This is a broker that sells the warranty in the province of Alberta because of regulatory rules that we follow. We have to have a brokerage that is licensed in the province of Alberta. The insurance corporation is our actually underwriter, and then of course PHBI falls into one of those companies. Get you to slide that over, Sarah. And then we have a broker that works outside of the province of Alberta because of different licensing that works for the warranty programs out there. So we basically cover warranty in the Western Canadian region right now. PHBI itself, I'll get Sarah to keep going through the slides here. actually operates nationally. So actually go back one more, Sarah. Sorry, jump ahead there. So our foundation is we have a subject matter expertise pool that is located across the country. These are the individuals that have the expertise in creating the curriculum that we actually create and facilitate instructional design, then offer out. We have an education advisory committee that we have participants from various regions of the country, various regions of the industry. Fenestration Canada is now participating in that, and Adrian's in the room here. I saw him someplace. He's one of the people that sits in our committee now. And this is to get voice and information from industry on a regular basis. We meet every 6 months, trying to find out what is happening, what areas of education need to be developed and brought together, and again, to make the industry better what they do. We form partnerships across the country. In a lot of cases, we develop our own curriculum. In a lot of cases, we will also seek out curriculum that makes sense to seek out and is very applicable to the industry. And the Fenestration Canada partnership is one of those partnerships that have been added to our list. Get you to go next slide, Sarah. And then this is, again, just a quick snapshot of what we look like across the country. Some of our partnerships there. We have partnerships with post-secondary, polytechnic schools, McGill University, Fenestration Canada, the regulatory bodies that operate in the provinces where applicable. We support their mandatory course and licensing education programs. Terrion's one of our partners in the East. So we got a lot of things happening across the country. And then I wanted to jump into how we got to where we are today. So go ahead, Sarah. So the road to development. This initiative, this window and door installation partnership program started back in October 2020. It was a COVID conversation at the time. None of us were hanging out together. It was all online. Met an individual, name is Richard McLaughlin. Richard was here earlier. I'm not sure he's around the room today or not. But came to me during a COVID call and talked to me about this need for this development of this kind of training. It didn't take us long to kind of figure out this kind of made sense to us, and our group of companies made a commitment at that point to get into it. Following that, I met the Fenestration Canada group. I think Terry was on the call, and Adrian, and I think we had Scott and Ron, and there's a bunch of people I then met within a short period of time. By January of that year, we assembled a group together. We had a subject matter expertise base from Fenestration Canada, Canadian Home Builders Association, the CSA 440.4 committee, building science experts from across the country, window installer experts from across the country, and we met to talk about this. Should we do it or should we not? Because from an education provider like us, we need the SME pool, subject matter expertise pool, working together to help us get the right information, the right content together, so we have the right program put together. It was actually, quite honestly, a pretty heated debate for a period of time there, but it all came together, and everyone agreed to move forward, and this is where we got to. What was our invested interest as our group of companies? This is some of the warranty data that I keep getting a warranty group to keep updating for me when I do this presentation. This gives you an idea of some of the claims that we see happening after this is the window slides. There's like, again, we're talking about leakage, ice and frost buildup, things like that. And I'll get Sarah to quickly move to the next slide. Doors, we're tracking from all claims are related to installation issues. Go ahead, Sarah, next slide. So this is again some of the summary of the claims. I won't go list them all to you because we only got so much time here. But that's kind of what we're tracking, what we're seeing. It happens pretty consistently. We got the door ones next here. And we'll just go to, and the last slide here. Yeah, so sorry, go back one more, Sarah. Jumped ahead. So the bottom line is our warranty department, our claims experts that are out there tracking claims and looking to see what's happening when a window and door claim comes through. They basically have concluded it's primarily due to improper installation that causes those specific claims. So they're definitely, we feel, it didn't take us long to figure out this makes sense for us to jump into this partnership. And here we are. So move to the next slide. And this is where I hand it over to Sarah in the virtual world to talk to you guys a little more about where we're at with the development of this program.
Thanks so much, Keith, and thanks, Terry, for the earlier shout out. You have no idea how much fun I had building exam questions with your team. It was a lot of fun, yourself included. So thanks for letting me be part of the project. As Keith mentioned, I came on board this project in 2021 when the project was first launching. Got to meet with lots of the Fenestration Canada people, which was fantastic. Lots of the Fenestration Canada people were actually members of one of our very early subject matter expert groups. So what we've done on the project to date, starting in 2021, the first thing was first, we developed this occupational chart and a list of competencies for fenestration installers. Before we developed education, we needed to know what were the core competencies, what did they really need to know? And based on these competencies that we developed with a group of 25 to 30 subject matter experts, we built out a curriculum to provide essentially the appropriate fenestration installer program. We wanted to make sure we weren't only just thinking about things like lifting a window properly into the rough opening and securing it properly. We also want to think about critical thinking, items like this, making sure that we're covering the gamut of what installers should know when they're installing a window or door. So to date, we have content is still being developed, but we're almost at the home stretch here. We're almost finished. It's going to be about 50 hours of online self-directed content. So a huge amount of content. We've developed course assets like course manuals, exam questions, e-learning, classroom PowerPoint decks, and all of the content is really grounded in the NBC 2020 and the CSA 440.4. So we want to make sure we're covering the most important pieces first. And then in addition to that, our subject matter experts are helping us build out what they would consider best practices, really making sure that they're teaching out sound building science and installation practices. We're going to focus a little bit more on technical content in the Windows and Doors classroom because we can appreciate this is the meat of the program and this is where students would probably really like the opportunity to ask questions of their instructor, problem solve, go through hypothetical scenarios, that type of thing. We did actually launch our first classroom in March of 2024, so we just wrapped up not too long ago. Given that we're still developing some of this content, it was only part one of the session. So I believe some of the Fenestration Canada members sat in on a few of the classes too. So we really appreciate you taking the time and providing us with some additional feedback there. But we're really excited to launch the classroom. We had a fabulous cohort, get a lot of questions and good learning in. So we do have some of the classroom content built out and we're targeting a second, part two, if you will, of the class in the fall of 2024, probably closer to Q4, once the building season isn't quite so busy and robust. So now, pardon me, I got ahead of myself here. We've launched that first classroom cohort. And as I mentioned, 50 hours of content is a huge amount of learning, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's self-directed online. So we've split it into basically 6 competency areas. We've got the reading and document use, so thinking about what it looks like to interact with plans, manufacturer schedules, that CSA 440.4, etc. Communication and critical thinking that we move into next. Then air, vapor, weather barriers, and rough openings. There's a lot of building science in there, really specific to the fenestration installer. Then we get into interior window installation and exterior window installation and exterior door installation. So taken together, these courses will be treated as separate. So it'll be a separate learning piece, a separate exam, and then all together, if people work their way through all 6, they will take a final exam and get for the PHBI Fenestration Installer Program. And our goal in working so closely with Fenestration Canada is really making sure that we address the competencies that Fenestration Canada has outlined too for the FIT exam, the certification. And we want to make sure that taking this education will really set people up for success to move on and take that certification exam through Fenestration Canada. So what you've all been waiting for, I'm going to just shift over screens here. This is a sample of our e-learning. So I am going to
Welcome to the
launch it.
Fenestration Installer Program, the history and evolution of exterior doors module.
So you will hear right away that this whole course is actually narrated. So I'm going to mute it for now, but as students are working their way through this program, myself, I learn better by reading. So I might go here and read the narration file. However, lots of people learn really well auditorily. So then they have the option to listen to the entire narration, all of the course content as well. Something else they can do, oh, pardon me, everyone, is they can actually change the playback speed. So just like a video on YouTube, perhaps they really want to absorb that content, or English is not their first language, they can easily slow down the pace of narration or speed it up as well, if that works better for their learning style. And I should warn you, this is a demo module, so it might not all seem quite like it hangs together quite properly. It's not a whole piece of content, rather it's just some samples so you can see how some of the interaction will happen, even if it's someone online self-directed without an instructor, that there are interactive components to these courses. And so you'll notice right away that some of this content is split up with buttons. And this is really deliberate, just to chunk it a little bit better for the students. It's easier for course participants if it's smaller chunks of content. And the other thing, really nerdy adult learning stuff has shown that I love, but I won't bore you with in detail. Essentially, you want people interacting with your course. If you let it play and people don't have to interact with it, what they end up doing is getting distracted. They might get onto other tasks, they might take phone calls or answer emails, or just get busy with the rest of their day. So we try to make sure that each individual is interacting with our course. The other piece is we just, visually like to mix it up a little bit. So here you'll see some icons, and the content is actually tied to the timing here. So more and more content unfolds, so to speak. If you have a quick peek at the narration, this is a huge chunk of content. So we want to make sure we chunk it out well for the participants so that they don't get overwhelmed with it at first. The other thing we're doing is adding a few drawings just to give people a really good sense. In this case of the anatomy of a door, we want to make sure that people can really understand visually as well, to have some nice visuals in place for them, in addition to just blurting out text and content at them. This is just kind of a fun demo slide that we prepared for you all, just why interactivity is important in e-learning. And as I mentioned earlier, it's good to engage students. And so we've done a few things in our courses. We have quizzes and learning assessments, and I should actually add scenarios here as well. I'll explain a little bit more. Gamification, it can be a little bit more fun when it seems more like a game. Scenario-based questions, as I alluded to earlier, and videos as well, just to mix up the media a little bit as well. So in our courses, we actually call our quizzes knowledge checks, because the purpose isn't to assess the participant, the purpose is only to reinforce the knowledge that they've just been through. So in this case, I'm going to just choose the wrong answer here. I'm going to get another opportunity to try, also choosing the wrong answer. And on my third attempt, I'm going to end up with the right answer. The nice thing here is I didn't get that question right the first time, but I'm getting the feedback layer here. So I don't have to go and sift back through my course manual or through this e-learning course. If it's something that didn't land the first time I went through, then I'm able to just refer to it here and hopefully reinforce the learning at this point. So then we just go through a little bit, a few more questions. We have a few different types of questions as well. And here, as I told you earlier, we have a bit of a scenario. So rather than just asking a straight up front question, true, false, or multiple choice, we give a bit of a scenario. We actually did extensive focus groups in 2023, and the most consistent feedback we heard across, I believe it was 5 different focus groups, was that adult learners really, really want scenarios. It's one thing to give them the theory, but if they can understand it in a scenario that they might actually encounter in their everyday work lives, the content just lands so much better. So that was the only single thing all of our focus groups agreed on. And all of the content that we developed in the latter half of 2023 at PHBI and Training Ontario and BC Builder Training, our feedback was actually so happy with the scenarios, wish you'd had more. So, so we're trying to incorporate more and more of those to ensure, and again, we have our feedback layer here, to ensure our learners are getting what they need. And so again, we just have a few icons here to break up chunk the content a little bit. We get into our summary piece, etc., etc. The other piece I want to show you, this is what I would call a game in a sense, and almost a really super, super detailed scenario, essentially. we've been working on developing, in this case, it's called a reading and document use simulation game.
Welcome to the Fenestration Installer Program.
So the goal here is actually to get people working with everything they've been learning in great detail. So here is a full simulation, and there's a bit of an introduction, and then learners need to answer 40 questions around this very detailed scenario. And what it is, I'm going to go to the resources here. This is an actual set of house plans that a builder provided to us, and also a window schedule. So the identifying information has been taken out, but this is from an actual building project here in Alberta. So I'm going to go back to this. We're going to get started on our simulation game. Here it explains a little bit that the goal is just to review all the documentation. So if you show up at a building site to install windows, you might have access to the plans. You should have access to the window schedule. Hopefully you have a nice electronic copy of your A440 4.4 sitting around, but just working through what you might need to know and how you might be using those documents. So we get here, and here the first question is a little bit more basic. So you have access to the blueprints, installation, safety guidelines. What's kind of your first step when you show up at a construction project? So let's just take a break. We'll worry about the documents later. All right, you knew I was toying with you, hey? So here it's an incorrect answer, and it tells me what I should have done. I should have probably started, with the project requirements, the plans, maybe. Really make sure I know what I'm doing before I get into it. So let's say I want to review the blueprints first. Awesome, I got the right answer on this one. Then it gets more detailed. So now I'm actually going to have to refer to my blueprint, look at the layout of each floor, and according to the blueprint, I have to figure out which room has the largest window opening. Here I have this hint, select all that apply, so it might be more than one of these rooms. So I'm going to have to actually go to my plans, and I'm going to have to review them and really figure out, going through, this is just the roof plan, going through the main floor, and I'm also probably going to want to review the second floor in detail and figure out which are the two largest openings. So I can go back, I can answer my question here, and oh great, I've only seen this 100 times, so I got the question correct. I'm so lucky. And again, now I'm going to go to the blueprint and look at the elevation views and really count how many windows are required in my project. So I'm going to go do that. And then how many windows can open? Another great question. It's just another thing I'll have to really look at in detail on my drawings. And I'll just show you one more before I wrap up here. This is a kind of a neat little trick question, because the plans that we ended up with actually don't correspond with the window schedule. So then we start walking through questions about how to deal with this discrepancy. So lots of great learning tools in here. I hope it'll be our inaugural class. Really enjoyed it. So hopefully we'll be able to pass that on to future learners as well. But yeah, that was just a little bit of a demo that I wanted to share with you today. And I think Keith and I are happy to answer any questions either now, or Keith and Ileana, and we'll be at the booth later this afternoon as well too. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Sarah. That's great. And yeah, just wrapping up, if you want more information about what we're doing in the plans and what more detail of the course, Ileana and I are just in the booth in the back there. You guys feel free to drop by and see us. Happy to share information with you, and or get you information once the course is fully developed and up and running. You get to see the whole thing at some point. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.